Hello everyone! So today I am building a shelf for these Vandas. These are the quarter treat Vandas I got from Moats. They're piled too heavily. I don't want them laying on top of each other. They need air to circulate around them. So I'm going to add another one of these pieces vertically behind them against the shelf. Hang them on there, and I think that's going to work better. I might even hang them upside down so the water, I don't have to worry about the water being caught in the crevices. I've had these guys for roughly, I want to say, almost a month, 3.5 weeks to a month. I laid them out. They're more piled right now than they were before because I've just now made room for these succulents. Normally they were stacked about 1.5 high, so there was overlap on them. And I was kind of content with saying, you know, I'm just going to leave them like this for a few weeks because I want to minimize how much they're being moved around. Moving your orchids, moving plants in general, if you move them too much, it stresses them out. Especially, I've personally noticed, in my experience with monopodial orchids, that they stress a little bit more from being moved too much. So they were shipped and then they were spread out, and they sat in their boxes for several days before I received them. So there's some significant root die-off, so I just wanted to reduce stress as much as possible, let them chill for a few weeks before I start moving them around too terribly much. But now we're to a point where there's some leaf yellowing, which could be transplant shock from them, you know, going from Florida to here where it's cooler, and it could also very likely be because of the root die-off that they had from sitting in their boxes for so long before I got them. Whatever the case, the main variable I'm seeing is going to be excess moisture or shock. So I want to eliminate excess moisture, so I'm going to get these, some of them, hung against a piece of this so that the water can run off of them a little bit more easily, air can move around them more easily, and it'll move around the ones that I leave on here more easily. There's some blocks though. I have plants piled up around this area about 6 foot deep, so I'm clearing a path through here. You can kind of see the garage door so I can get to the back of this shelf. I need to do this anyways because I need to move these air plants. They're getting too much water being splashed on them from the Vandas. Air plants, Tillandsias, do not need to be watered heavily every single day. It will rot them. And I don't like keeping my air plants under the red grow lights, even though they do well under them. Sometimes they die and I don't even know it. You know, I'll pick them up one day and be like, oh, this is brown, but it looks totally fine under the red light. I'm slightly colorblind. It just messes with my eyes. So I'm going to move these someplace where they can be a little bit more dry.
A few moments later.
Alright, so I have cleared my space. I think I'm going to leave this Tillandsia back there. We'll see after I get everything set up, see how much light it's still receiving. So now I just need to get out the rest of my crate, cut it, and maybe I think, yeah, I should clean these roots up on these guys. It's time. Yeah, let's get started on that. First thing I'm going to do here is measure this out. I want it to be 18 inches. As it is, they are 24, so by having it at 18 inches, it'll still let some light and air move through back there to the pothos and some other plants that are in need of more light. I don't want to block out too much light, and I will probably not center this on there. I'm probably going to let it hang over to the side this way a little bit. So I know that I need to start cutting down there, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 or 8 bricks over. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that just with, I'm just going to use a pair of clippers. There are other ways to do it. I'm just using these guys. I'm going to cut all the way through and use eye protection and keep going. Piece is cut. Now I'm going to set it back there, and I think it's too tall. So I'm going to see what I need to take off for the height so it's not blocking the justicia that's back there. I don't know. It's a little bit too high on that justicia, but on this Medellina, it's pretty okay. I might just leave it at this height and just, you know, see if I can tidy it up a little bit so it's not pushing so hard back there on that Medellina. Yeah, I think I might just leave it kind of like this. I'll straighten it out so it works better. So I guess the next thing to do now is to pull it back out and start strapping some Vandas on there, tying up their roots. What a mess. I've cut so many roots, dead roots off these guys. I am relieved to say, though, that the ones with the yellowing leaves are the ones with the least amount of root. I mean, they have pretty much nothing working for them here. So that would explain the yellowing leaves, so I don't have to worry about that being some type of infection or fusarium anytime sudden yellowing happens from the base, works its way up. I get more concerned about fusarium, but that's not the situation here. At least I don't think it is. I didn't make any stem cuts, and I didn't cut far enough into the roots to really see anything. I just cut off everything that was obviously desiccated. So you can see these guys really aren't working with much. I mean, I should have cut those. Those are dead. But there's a root nub, and then there's actually a root inside that leaf. So that is good. This guy has one, really no more than that. So 1.5, 1.25 perhaps root-wise. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge to make sure that they recover, but that's kind of the point of all this. So see what we can do. Now I'm going to start strapping them to that piece I cut, and I think I will probably put the smaller ones on there and then leave the larger ones down low, and the ones that need the most root help are going to stay down low because the humidity is higher with this water underneath them. I'm going to get to that. I thought this was interesting. See that stripe there? And there's one over here too. See the stripes? That's from where these were laying on top of each other. So that is good to know. I'm seeing that purple in there, meaning that they were getting enough light. I was concerned that being this far away from the grow lights, that they aren't getting enough, but with that purple color in there, I'm going to say they're getting plenty. It's not anything else. It doesn't rub off. So that is good, and also pretty interesting that it did that. It makes sense. The parts that were getting light turned purple, the others weren't. So at least now I know they're getting enough light. That is a relief. Whew. Okay, I'm having some second thoughts here about this whole thing. Because look at all the little root nubs that are coming out on this guy. And there are a few others that are like that. Which means what I was doing was working. So should I mess with something that isn't broken? I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out a way to evaluate which ones to hang up and which ones to leave as they were. Shoot. I hate thinking. This, however, is an example of how what I was doing isn't working. This one right here has really nothing. There's a little bit of green in there. So I'll put this one on the board, since being over there apparently wasn't serving it any type of benefit, although it could have just been lost without hope anyways, but I'm going to try that. Ta-da! Alright, it's not perfect, but they're not overlapping as much, and they aren't piled on top of each other. The thing I like about this is I can adjust the angle on this vertical piece so that they're aimed a little bit more direct towards their grow lights, which I might do, but first I'm just going to kind of observe how they're doing and leave them be. Like I said, I don't want to baby them too much. I'm pretty sure that'll kill them. I also don't want to neglect them at the same time. That's why I've done all of this. So any tips or suggestions would be very much appreciated, and I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Happy gardening!